Hello, welcome to Glen Meditation. Today I'm going to talk about the start of my losing weight journey that started about 3 years ago. 3 years ago I lived in Germany and I was working there, and my diet really changed when I got there. The patients used to bring us a lot of Easter presents and bake us cakes, and we were really busy, so we just kind of a lot of days didn't really watch our diet, and we ate what was given to us, which was again a lot of fatty foods and lots of sugar. So anyhow, long story short, not making excuses, I eventually got up to being 243 pounds, which was 110 kgs. And my goal now, like 3 years later, is to get down to 150 pounds, but to do it a little smarter this time. Originally what I did is I watched the show Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, and didn't think much of it, thought it was kind of a cool idea. And then a couple months later, a juice bar opened up in my neighborhood, and I went in there and started juicing, and for about 4 or 5 months I would basically have 2 to 3 juices a day, and some days have no meals, and some days just have one meal, and so I did that for a long time, and the weight loss was astounding. Basically I got so that I had to change my whole wardrobe, and I lost 70 pounds in about 4 or 5 months, and it was quite the transformation. But at the same time, I wasn't very rehearsed in detox, and a lot of other things started coming up, like my forehead started getting really bright red, and I started reacting to a lot of the foods, and it was kind of confusing because, the juice bar is supposed to be healthy, and so you wouldn't really think that you're reacting to foods there. But I noticed when I started having strawberries in the juices, then I would really react. And then I always just always gave up everything to being just detox symptoms, because a lot of weird things that happen when you detox. But generally I started getting stiffer, and I lost the weight, but that was good. But I had the red forehead, and then I also started getting tired and really super sensitive to things and everything like that. So in amongst that, I wasn't always juicing. Sometimes I would be back on having some meat, and they have really good bratwurst in Germany, so I'd have that. But I was basically juicing and staying away from bread products and stuff like that. But one thing is, I think that if you're going to go into long-term juice fasts and stuff like that, you should be really careful of not just putting everything up to detox symptoms when you're going through troubles. Like there is probably a fact that you're not getting the nourishment you think, and for different types of people react to different things. I think in my situation, looking back, I probably needed more cholesterol and meat products, but that's just where I am today. That's how I'm thinking. Doesn't make it right. As we go on this journey from learning how to eat properly, it's kind of the journey of discovery on each individual's basis. So there's no really wide sweeping comments you can make. Another thing that I think maybe I had is I lived in China for a number of years, and I probably built up a lot of toxins in my fat cells. So when I started to detox really quickly, all that heavy metals probably went back into my blood supply, and if I wasn't able to excrete them properly, probably went across the blood-brain barrier and went up into my head and affected me. So anyhow, long story short, I started getting lots of Parkinson's-like symptoms, and eventually about a year later, someone just said, "Hey, you're shaking so much, why don't you just go back to Canada and sort out your health?" So you see me nowadays, I've been back for 2 years and trying lots of things, and currently I'm come more around to eating more meat and stuff like that, but that's just what I'm currently doing these days. And So if you want to follow me on my journey, I noticed on YouTube, that's where I learn the most. I watch people and I watch what they go through. Like I watch Vegetable Police a lot, and I kind of think I learned from watching him that I don't want to follow the vegan path for 10 years. And that's a great thing on YouTube is you can sort of watch people's experiences, and as long as you just take things with a grain of salt and still keep in mind that you're trying to figure out what diet is best for you and not get caught up in groups, because anybody can create a diet and then throw out lots of research and support for it and everything like that. So you have to realize if you get into a certain group that you just surround yourself with like-minded people, that you're not going to be really seeing a broad picture, which might work for some people. But I find as I've done meditation and everything in my life, I always kind of go from group to group to group, taking the parts that are best for me away and trying to leave the parts that don't serve me, which is a hard thing to do. Sometimes you want to jump in fully into a thing and then get into it heavily, and that's not always bad too. But having the perspective of when to get out is important. So for me, I would have to sum up that first part of my journey 3 years ago was very positive in that I lost weight and stuff, but I think I didn't know a lot about detox, and a lot of people might chime in and act like they know exactly, but I still think we're basically babies when it comes to diet as a race. I think we don't know very much and we're just trying to learn. But just staying with the conventional diet is not going to help. So the pioneers that you can see here on YouTube trying new things and everything, you can learn a lot from just people's experience and trying things out and stuff like that. So I lost 70 pounds on the fat, sick, and nearly dead juice cleanse idea. But the toxins got me in the end, and basically since I've been back here in Canada, I've had all the amalgams removed from my teeth, and that made a big difference. Like after that, my brain started to work a lot better, and my symptoms went down, and I had energy. You know, a lot with Parkinson's, you sometimes just have no energy some days, and after the amalgams were taken out, then it was pretty good for energy for a while. But I love like eating smoothies and all that stuff, so I keep going back to that, convinced that's going to help. But like recently I just did 2 months of intermittent fasting and basically smoothies and a bit of raw avocado sushi and stuff like that, and I did lose 30 pounds, but I still didn't kind of get the changes in my Parkinson's symptoms that I'm heading for. Like my goal is to use a lot of different measures to figure out how I can particularly get healthy with Parkinson's, and whether I can just slow down the progression or actually get better. But to actually be able to be a pioneer that gets more solutions out there than just, hey, you got Parkinson's, here's your meds, and watch yourself slowly deteriorate. So I want to be part of the solution. So anyhow, this is just kind of a video going back to what happened when I started my detox, and I would say just be careful if you're going into juice fast. Don't, there's a lot of information out there now saying it's just do juice fast and stuff. But my experience was that I got sick from it, and also dairy at the time. I started eating lots of yogurt and thinking that was going to improve my gut flora, but I was not doing well with dairy, and so nowadays I sort of come around. If I could go back to do that, I would just once I started having reactions and a red forehead and eczema and stuff, I would have just gone straight to elimination diet, where I find one staple healthy food that I can eat and then stay on that, and then slowly introduce things in and just see how I react, and keep a diary. And then the things that react, like you can tell when you have eczema and a red forehead, most things react within about 4 days. So if you're throwing in a bunch of different foods, it's very confusing. So right now I would just like that I'm on a basically all meat diet, and I have a few blueberries once in a while, and so far I'm not reacting, and so I like to just stay within those safe foods that I can eat. But anyhow, that's it today. and just encouragement. Be careful when you're detoxing, but don't be too scared. But just be wary that not everything's a detox, and sometimes you're deteriorating. So take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.